Hello everyone, welcome back to Array Blog once again. So today we are going to learn about classes and objects in Python. So you want to write Python code like a real software engineer, right? That's where object-oriented programming comes in. That's called in short form it called OOPS. So in this video we learn about classes and object, the building block of OOPS in Python, right? So let me create a file first, that is a class underscore something, right, dot py. Here we are going to write our first class, and we'll see how it works and why it works like that. So the first question is, what is a class? So a class is a blueprint for creating object, right? It defines properties, you can call it attribute, and behavior, that is called method, that the object created from it will have, right? So a class is a blueprint for creating object. It defines properties and behavior that the object created from, right? So so a class basically group two main things together. The first one is attribute, or we can say properties, that basically represent data like name, age, or height. Second thing is method, that is function inside a class. These represent action or behavior like walk, talk, or sleep, right? So a class group two together. First one is attribute, and second thing is a methods, right? So let's move for the class, and we'll see how to create a class. So what we'll do, we'll create a class that is a person, right? So and let me write this. I'll explain. Then self, right? And then what we'll do is self dot name equals to name. So we have to pass it here first, name and then age, right? So type name now, then self dot age, right, equals to age, right? So I'll explain this. So what we are doing here, using the class keyword, we are defining a class named person, right? Now this is called constructor. I'll explain it later. And these are the attribute, that is name and age, right? And the key point to remember is here is the init. This is a special method called the constructor. It runs automatically whenever we create a new object of this class. Now we heard a term about object, right? So let's see what is an object. So an object basically is a simple instance of a class. So think of the class as a design or a template, and the object as the actual thing built from the design, right? So for example, the class person is the blueprint of a person, but an object like person 1, person 2, and person n is an actual person with real data such as a name and age, right? So this is a blueprint, but object basically is a actual person with real data, that is name, age, and anything that is anything, right? So let's see of example of object. So we'll create object person 1, right, equals to, we're calling the class, and then we'll type the name array block, and I made a mistake here, and then comma, and we'll pass the age, suppose we say 40, right? Now we have to close this. So this is the for person 1. We can say person 1, person 2 also, right? Person 1, person 2 equals to, let me copy this and paste this. So we'll say like, right, and we'll say, or as we are giving the person name, so we can say Rahul, right? So age we can say that is 60, right? So now let's access this. So we'll say print person one dot name, right, comma person one dot age, and for the second one we'll say person two dot name, comma person two dot age, right? So let's run it and see what we'll get here, right? So let me run this. So python class, see, say array block 40 and Rahul 60, right? So we are calling the constructor here, and we are declaring our class using the keyword class, and the class name is person. Now we are declaring the object, that is person 1, person 2, and we are passing into the person, that is a array block, and the age, name and age, right? So this is the basic program with the class and object. So key point to remember here: object bring the class blueprint to life. Without object, a class is just an empty design, right? So suppose, so just imagine if we don't have these things, right? So this is just a design. We cannot use it. We cannot do anything with this class, right? So that's why we say object bring the class blueprint to life. And without object, a class is just an empty class, empty design. Now next, let's move to the adding method to a class. So we have seen a class can store data using attribute like, right, name and age, right? But real world object don't just store information; they also perform action, right? So in Python, we use method to define what an object can do, right? So basically method are a function defined inside a class that describe object behavior. So a method are a function defined inside a class that describe object behavior, right? So we define a, so let define, so we define a method inside a function, right? So we'll say def, let's say greet, right? We say greet, and then we say self, right? And then this, and we'll say print f, and then hello, or welcome, welcome to, welcome, and then we'll pass the self dot name. To correct this, right, self dot name, and then so it will say welcome to add here, welcome to array block, and we'll write, and please like, welcome to array block, and we'll pass the second the age of the first person, right? So what we'll do, we'll just welcome to array block, and your age is, that is a self dot age, right? So there are three things we are learning together. So first one is class. So a class is a blueprint, and then comes the object basically that comes to the, that brings the real thing of a class, right, of a blueprint of a class. So and the third thing is method, so that basically so declare inside a class. So let me clear this. Object bring the class blueprint to life. Without object, a class is just an empty design. So without object, a class is an empty design, right? Now the method are a function defined inside a class that describe object behavior. So this is called a method as we declare inside a class, right? And it basically describe the object behavior, right? So let's run it and we'll see what it say. And we have to call this function. So what we'll do, we'll say person one dot greet, and we'll then combine this. Right now we have to this comment this and then clear, and then see it say welcome to array block and your age is 40. So why use classes and object? So classes and object basically organize code logically to make it reusable, model real world problem easily. Like it support oops concept like inheritance and encapsulation and polymorphism that we are going to see in upcoming videos. So today we learn about classes and object in a Python, how to define a class, create object, and add a method and attribute, right? So if you found this video helpful, hit like button and subscribe for more Python tutorial and share with your friend. In the next video, we are going to learn about constructor and destructor in Python classes. So stick with me. See you into the next one. Thank you.